Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Open Talk on ChatGPT titled ChatGPT, Ano Yun? I am Jeliza from the Office of Gender Concerns, and I am thrilled to be your host for today's discussion. This episode is brought to you by the Multimedia Center in collaboration with the Faculty of Information and Communication Studies. As we all know, artificial intelligence, or AI, is rapidly changing the landscape of teaching, learning, and even everyday life. In this episode, we will explore ChatGPT, a next generation AI chatbot that uses machine learning to provide human like responses to long form and complicated queries. So, the question now is, what exactly is ChatGPT? That is what we aim to answer today. If you have any questions during the discussion, feel free to send them through the chat boxes at the UPOU Network's Facebook page, the UPOU Network's website, and the UPOU Network's YouTube channel. Without further ado, let me introduce our moderator, Assistant Professor Marie Angelique Crisanto. Professor Marie is an assistant professor from the Faculty of Information and Communication Studies and currently the director of the UPOU Office of Quality Assurance and chair of the Diploma in Computer Science program. Good afternoon, Ma'am Marie.
Good afternoon, Jeliza, and greetings to all our viewers and listeners. So, to help us answer the questions Jeliza mentioned earlier, we would like to introduce our resource speakers for today who know a thing or two about ChatGPT. So, our first speaker is Dr. Reynald Adrian Pugoy, Assistant Professor from the Faculty of Information and Communication Studies. He is also the current director of the Information and Communication Technology Department Office at UPOU. And our second speaker is Dr. Ricardo Bagarinao, the former Dean of the Faculty of Education and the Director of the Center for Open and Digital Teaching and Learning, UPOU. So we only have limited time, roughly an hour, for what we anticipate to be a very thought-provoking discussion. So let's get started. May I invite our speakers, our wonderful resource speakers here to the screen. All right. So unang-una, first of all, our first question is, what is ChatGPT and what is the theory behind it? For this question, I'd like to invite Dr. Reynald to answer it, as he is also a PhD graduate in AI. Take it away, Dr. Reynald.
All right, Tajahal, thank you so much for inviting me here, and good afternoon to all again. So to answer your question, Prof. Marie, about what is ChatGPT and what is the theory behind it, the simplest answer, and I'm pretty sure that we have exposure to ChatGPT. It is an AI chatbot model that receives instructions or what we call prompts from us humans, and later generating answers or responses. Now, because you asked me, what is the theory behind it? In order to answer this question, let us dissect the acronym ChatGPT. By the way, ChatGPT stands for Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So let us understand, and I will make this as less painful as possible. Yeah. So let's first start with the chat, because we chat with it, and ChatGPT also chats back with us, right? And then we go to the T, the last letter, T, which stands for transformer. It is the noun in the acronym. And we can say that, sorry, ChatGPT is a type of transformer. It is a type of neural networks used in AI and natural language processing and computational linguistics. And we can imagine a neural network as that program that learns to perform various tasks by analyzing different samples. And the transformer architecture, as I just mentioned, was actually released way back in 2017. And before I continue, do you have any guess which organization created the transformer model? Ironically, it is by Google. Yeah, no joke. And then we go to the next letter, which is the P. P stands for pre-trained. Pre-trained, which is an adjective pertaining to the manner that the transformer is operating on. So the transformer or the neural network, it is trained on, I would say, ginormous or massive amounts of data crawled or gathered from all around the World Wide Web, from the internet, to understand language. And its way of understanding language, finding statistical patterns and relationships between words, sentences, and phrases. So that is the intention of this pre-trained process. Yeah, the transformer has to be trained using billions of data, again, gathered from the internet, billions of data, and then do the training for like trillions of times. That is the trick. No wonder that it is accurate. And this pre-training, what is actually being predicted here is, given a sequence of tokens, what would be the next token? And that is what we call language modeling. All right. And then we go to the G. The G is also another adjective which stands for generative. It generates novel content. It generates novel responses based on the input or instruction that we have provided it. And it is largely based, of course, on the pre-training. Yeah, that's why you got to do pre-training so that it can generate properly. Yeah, so in a nutshell, ChatGPT, chat is the manner of conversation. Generative is the type of output. Pre-trained is the process or the method. Transformer, that is the AI model or neural network architecture. And I would say that ChatGPT is a ChatGPT, it is a statistical pattern analyzer on steroids. And that is how it derives its understanding of the language based on probability distribution, guessing the next token or the next word based on a given sequence of tokens or words. So I hope that sufficiently answers your question. And hopefully, if someone asks you what is the theory behind ChatGPT, at least you can dissect, each letter of the acronym. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rain. I feel like I just took a crash course on AI in those few minutes that you have discussed what ChatGPT is all about. So thank you for that very comprehensive response to that question. And for this next question, I'd like to call Dr. Bagarinao. Would like to know more about about the uses of ChatGPT, like what is it mainly used for, what kind of queries and answers, who can use it, and how can we access it? So it's a lot of questions, but mainly it's it's about the use of ChatGPT.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Marie. Actually, I'm not a technical person, and tulad mo, I feel that I had also a crash course on AI based on what Prof. Rain had answered a while ago. I would answer that question based on my explorations that I did using ChatGPT. Basically, based on my observation on the things that I did using ChatGPT, I think that the tool can really perform a lot of functions. No, for instance, I did an exploration on assessing or marking the assignments of my students. And I found out the scores that ChatGPT had given to a specific output of my student is somehow designed with the score that I gave to that output. No? We just had a difference of, I think, 3 or 4 points. But ChatGPT is more gracious than me. Mas mataas yung binigay niya doon sa output ng estudyante kaysa akin. No? So that's one. The other one is in terms of having a further explanation of some terms or concepts that I had in my classes. For instance, there are some concepts that may be difficult to absorb by the students. So I tried asking ChatGPT to make the presentation of that concept simplified, easy to follow, and it did, no? Mas naiintindihan ko yung presentation of the concept uh, using the generated explanation, no, by ChatGPT. And unbelievably, I also tried to ask ChatGPT to come up a song for for a person. So I just put the name of the person and ask that tool to come up with the lyrics of a song that I can share about that person, no, that I placed as a prompt doon sa tool. And it did, no? It was able to come up a lyrics with the name of the person in it. Okay, so in that way, I think this tool can really do a lot of things, no? Except of coming up or providing personal information of anyone. Okay, based on my experience, when I asked ChatGPT to about if he would be able to, or if it would be able to give you an information about certain person, nandun yung disclaimer niya na as AI, it is not allowed to give some personal information. Okay, so yeah, I think that's the power of the tool. Based on the things that I did, no, I explore using the tool in these past few days.
Thank you, Dr. Bagarinaw, for that. I'm impressed that you were able to explore so many functions of ChatGPT already. So to be honest, I have only just logged in just a few minutes ago to see what ChatGPT will do and if it can generate a script for me. But next time na lang siguro.
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
it has become the best friend of one of my nephews.
Wow,
So,
that's
siya na
so
yung kausap
amazing.
ngayon nung nephew ko na ano.
Galing ah. Okay, but I do have, I think one of the reasons why I'm a bit hesitant to use ChatGPT is on its accuracy. Dr. Reynald, would you say that ChatGPT is accurate? And if so, why is it accurate?
You know what? This is a hard question to answer. So you're asking me about the accuracy. Because if we want to have an empirical evidence about its accuracy, we take a look into the publication, right? And that is the thing normally with any computational linguistics paper. Yeah, but what we can say is, yeah, so far it's accurate, but we don't really have an actual measure because ChatGPT, the paper, well, the supposed paper for it wasn't even published. Yeah, but your question, right? Your question is why is it accurate? Is that right, Professor Marie? Okay, why is it
Yes.
accurate? Yeah, for the most part, because of two tricks. The first trick I mentioned a while ago, which is the pre-training, guessing the next word based on a given sequence of tokens or of words. Yeah, for example, the center of the solar system is blank. So ChatGPT will attempt to guess the correct token based on the probability distribution. You know, it's like statistics actually. So based on the probability distribution of all the possible words that can fill. Or another example is Prof. Marie likes to eat blank. Okay, so let's say the possible answers would be pizza and computer. Obviously, ChatGPT should be able to pick pizza because it should have the higher probability based on the probability distribution of the words. Unlike Prof. Marie likes to eat computer. Yeah, you can just imagine that the probability of computer being selected as the next word, it should be lower. And again, you do that pre-training for billions of data for trillions of times. How can it not get accurate with this, right? So that is the first trick. The second trick, this is what we call in our field reinforcement learning from human feedback. It's just a complicated word for asking human judges if the response produced by ChatGPT is good. Imagine that OpenAI, it has hired human judges. It has a team of human judges to assess whether the response produced by ChatGPT is good, is wrong, needs improvement, so on and so forth. And that kind of feedback will be used to further improve ChatGPT so that the next time it is asked a similar question, it should be able to give better answers. So in short, in a more generic perspective, if you will, having massive amounts of data, expensive, prohibitively expensive computing resources, abundant human resources, and financial resources to hold them together. That's the requirement if you want to produce a highly accurate generative model like ChatGPT. And I would say that is the secret of OpenAI, an open secret, if you will. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Rain. Indeed, I think, yeah, ChatGPT is learning as it goes, and as we continue to feed it more and more data, it becomes more and more powerful, more and more accurate. But if we do feed it more and more inaccurate data, somehow it also goes toward that direction of inaccuracy. So, yeah. Now, speaking of using it again. Dr. Magarinao, I'd like to call you up again. Paggamit talaga, no, si Sir Baggy ang ano, ang tinatanong natin. But I think some people are very interested in this question, especially as it relates to how educational institutions use it. Is it being used by educational institutions? Should we use it? What can it bring to our institutions? And yeah, is it even ethical to use it in our institutions? So what can you say about this, Dr. Bagarinaw?
Yeah, I think it would be based on the perspective of the institution. If the perspective of the institution would be parang yung tool is something that the student should not use because it can be used as a tool for cheating, for instance, no? Then the institution, well, would not be able to use that, no? Would not encourage the use of that. But for me personally, I think we need to allow our students to use ChatGPT not only so that they would be able to more or less gain some insights, no, about the tool, about this tool, but also to maximize learning process. As what I have said a while ago, it is capable of providing a simplified presentation of some theories or concepts that may not be able to parang hindi may bigay agad ng faculty, no, ng teacher. So the student can ask ChatGPT to provide such presentation of theory or concept. The other one is it is also useful in a sense na the student might be able to research, no, be able to get some important information on certain topics that they are discussing inside the classroom. The other one is again what I have said a while ago, that it can also be used to help or assist the faculty or the teacher to mark, especially yung essay type, no, or essays of their students, no. But I think in that case, we still have to, yun, iniisip ko is we still have to come up siguro an inter-rater analysis, no, to just to have an empirical information that the this tool can really provide a good feedback, no, of the output of the students, and saka yung pagbibigay ng score niya is really, no, being validated using human agency, no. So mas maganda kung magkaroon ng comparison ng parang marking of the output of the students by human agency and that of the tool, okay? And then compare whether there is a significant difference between the scores that are being derived from AI and that of the person, no, that is being invited for that purpose. Then isa pa, I think ChatGPT can also provide a clear explanation for For example, in terms of, in my case, yung fundamental knowledge, no, in biology, for instance, which may not be clearly being discussed by a teacher, baka pwede, no, itanong sa ChatGPT, and maybe it can provide a clear explanation of the process. I'm thinking of the Krebs cycle, for instance. Based on my experience, medyo nahirapan ako doon sa pagintindi ng Krebs cycle. So I asked ChatGPT about it, and there, no, medyo simplified ang kanyang presentation, and I was able to understand, no, yung process na yon. Okay? So yun, I think it would depend on how the institution would look at it, no? Kung ang institution would look at it as something that could benefit the teacher and the students, then the institution might promote the use of this tool. Pero kung iba yung perspective ng institution, again, yung nabanggit ko kanina, they might come up some policies na hindi ayon, no, sa paggamit ng tool na ito. But then again, we have to remember that ChatGPT may just be the starting point for an AI-mediated education in the future, no? So I think at this point in time, we need to train our students on how to maximize the use of this ChatGPT, even our teacher, no, the use of this ChatGPT, so that they would be able to have more productive and maybe more inclusive, no, teaching learning transactions inside the classroom, or maybe it's a virtual or it's a physical classroom. So I think we need to train, no, our students so that when they face the future, they would be equipped, no, on how to deal with AI in terms of the education process, or in terms even of work, no? Kasi yung AI, hindi lang ito sa education, no? Even in the workplace, marami na rin gumagamit niya ng AI, no? So if we're going to be able to train our students, no, on the use of this AI, maximizing their learning process using AI, I think we're preparing our students for the future, no? Para at least when they have this opportunity, or when they go out into the work world, at least they're prepared on how to deal with AI-mediated processes. So yun siguro. But again, it would depend on the perspective of the institution.
Thank you, Dr. Bagarinao, for that insightful answer. And that's my greatest takeaway from what you have said, that indeed it's something that we can use to prepare students for our future when we integrate it to our educational systems. But the big caveat there is that it is ultimately dependent still on the institutions if they will allow it. And there's also a comment from our audience from Christian Cruz Pada. He said, if I may add, I am seeing that ChatGPT will help students. For instance, whenever they visit the library, instead of looking for several references to find a certain topic that they want to learn. That's a very good point. Okay. Right now, I'd also like to hear the perspective. We would also like to hear the perspective of Dr. Reynald on this, on the use of ChatGPT in our institutions, in our educational institutions, and even if we could extend it in our private and in our other technological institutions. Dr. Rain.
All right. The thing is, AI is here to stay. In the same way that computers, Google search, what else? Other technologies, right? The internet also. AI is here to stay. And I would say we have three options regarding this. Ban the use of ChatGPT outright. That's one. Second is to bury it, return to in-person assessment, try to do whatever maneuvering so that the students wouldn't have any opportunity to use ChatGPT. Or the third one, which is related to what Dr. Baggy has mentioned a while ago, embrace it and prepare our students to be critical thinkers, critical consumers, and expert users of AI in this post-AI world. Yeah, AI wouldn't be gone. it has started to really envelop each and every facets or aspects of our lives. And yeah, sure, it is up to the academic freedom of the institution, of the teacher, depending on the design, the purpose, the objectives of their courses, of the classroom, right? But what we can do right now is to learn to adapt and adopt and preach the responsible and safe use of AI. Yeah, because AI becomes bad if the user is bad. I wouldn't say that AI is bad. AI becomes bad if the user is bad. AI becomes good if the user is good. And one of the trends in various governments around the world, they say, specifically from the Singapore Ministry of Education, that it can be a useful tool for learning only when students have mastered the basic concepts and the corresponding thinking skills. That is why their Ministry of Education will also equip the students with the appropriate skills to use AI tools in a more responsible manner. Yeah, so that is to add further to what Dr. Baggy has mentioned a while ago.
Thank you, Dr. Rain. And at this point, yeah, I agree with you. AI is bad if the users are bad. If they have malicious intent, then it is merely a tool. And if the users have good intent, then truly AI, ChatGPT in this case, will truly be used for good to what we have been just talking about right now. And this question is from Henry Alperito. Is it okay to use Chat GPT in research writing? Any one of you may answer.
Can I answer?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you want to do that, you can do that. But my warning is, again, ChatGPT is not 100% accurate. You gotta be careful if you're gonna generate content. You're dealing with factual content like Q&A. It can generate plausible sounding, grammatically correct statements, but the content is actually wrong. Sure, you can do that. You can use that, but again, exercise caution.
Thank you, Dr. Rain. I have seen some instances of some research papers with Chat GPT as an author. What is your take on that? Should we really include it as an author when we use it?
Okay, this is my personal opinion. If we can include ChatGPT as the author, I will also include Grammarly as the author. Yeah, that is my personal stand on that, right? Okay, so I'll include Grammarly. I'll include the other technologies, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I also use Grammarly for my paper. So if that's the case, then I should probably include Grammarly also. Okay, thank you. This next question is from Christian Cruzpada. Let me see if we can dissect the question properly, or if you would be able to see where he is coming from with this. He is asking, can we possibly use the Chat GPT in a corporate setup where we can feed data and information limited to the company structure?
Okay, that is actually possible. And that process is actually what we call fine tuning. Being able to train ChatGPT on very specific contexts, like a company, like a university. However, if you want to do that, you have to pay more. Yeah, the last time I checked, if you want to do something like that, OpenAI is charging, yeah, certain costs if you want to do that particular procedure. Yeah, but sure, theoretically you can do that.
All right, thank you. Medyo pinatayan pa ako ng ilaw dito. Pasensya na po. But while I turn on the lights, this question is raised by Playful. Somehow this was addressed, but if you can reiterate the question for this, the answer for this, I'm sorry. Playful asks, out of curiosity, do you think there's a possibility that someone with malicious intent can override or breach the chat GPT and use it to generate results that may be detrimental or harm people? Thank you.
Hmm. Maybe Sir Baggy has an answer, but that is
Sir Baggy,
that is
yes.
that is a very interesting question.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think 'di ba lahat naman siguro ng program, nandun yung risk, nandun yung threat, no, na ano. So, I think it's still the same with ChatGPT. And, 'di ba, sabi nga natin lahat ng nasa internet, hindi naman talaga 100% safe or secure, no, na ano. So, it's possible. And hindi lang natin alam, no, what kind of security ang ginagawa ng OpenAI, the developer of this tool, na ano, in order to avoid such kind of case. Ano. But I think there is the possibility. Lahat naman ng mga naka-internet, nandun talaga ang possibility nila.
Thank you, Dr. Bagarinaw and Dr. Rain. Yeah, I think the this is more on the line na parang may mag-hack ba, di ba? And we don't know, I personally don't know how hackers think, but if they would make a way, then there's always a possible way for this. There are a few more questions related to our question on, hello po, yes. Opo.
Sorry, pinatay ko yung
Okay, so that was not Chat GPT. That was an actual person. But anyway, yes. Okay, so let's go back. This is related to the question on using Chat GPT for research. Dino Dumapis, Alleluia, asks, is the using of ChatGPT not a violation of ethical standards in research? And on a related question on Grammarly from Elmer Surigao, you mentioned Grammarly, but if I use ChatGPT in a formal paper, how far do I have to give attribution? How will it look in a footnote? Okay, so I think if Dr. Bagarinaw can also have some input on this, we would very much welcome your thoughts.
Yeah, first thing siguro is yung research output na ginagawa natin. I think every author, no, doon sa output niya or sa paper or report in that case has an accountability of the information na nire-release niya through research study. Okay? And I think that accountability, I don't know if you can also pass that on to ChatGPT, if something would happen on your research. Okay. Now, in terms of ethical, well, I think as an author or as a researcher, alam natin, yung ethics of doing research and even of reporting our research outputs. So I think it is related to the accountability that we have for the empirical information that we would release through our research. So I think although wala pa tayong nakita na yung policy or any related document, I don't know if this really being included in the ethical considerations of reporting research, because we're also doing Google search, di ba? I mean, we're having these other different tools, but yung nabanggit din ni Prof. Rain kanina, yung Grammarly, di ba? We're using all these tools in order to improve how we're going to present the report or the result of our study, for instance. But then again, as a researcher, I think yung nabanggit ko kanina, we have that accountability on the empirical information that we would be releasing to the public, releasing to our scientific community, and so on and so forth. And we cannot pass that on to ChatGPT, to any tool, Tayo yung may responsibility doon. So sa palagay ko, decision natin, no, as a researcher, whether we're going to use ChatGPT to come up with the empirical information based on the data that we have and release that, publish that in a journal, or tayo mismo ang gagawa ng information na yon, taking into consideration na we have an accountability over that information.
Thank you, Dean, Dr. Bagarinaw. Yeah, I agree with you that the accountability still fully lies with us. And I think this is also related to a comment that J.R. Vipinosa has said that it truly is just a tool, and a tool is just a tool. It is always the user who makes it good or bad. Like a knife, it can be used to hurt or used to cook a sumptuous meal. And JR says AI is here to stay, very true. So yeah. All right. I'll move on to a few other questions here. There's a lot of questions coming in now, actually.
Baka
CJ
pwede,
asks
baka
AI
pwede
tech like I
Mamari,
yes po.
baka pwede nilang matanong na lang kay ChatGPT.
That's a good idea.
Actually, actually, kapag kumulang ang oras natin, if we will not be able to address your questions here, you can also ask ChatGPT later on. But right now, sige po, this is from CJ. CJ asked, AI tech like ChatGPT will continue to evolve. Do you think ChatGPT will replace some jobs in the future? Anyone who would like to answer?
Can
Yes,
I?
sir. Yes, din,
Yun nga
Dr.
yung
Baggy.
pinag-usapan natin kanina, no, na ChatGPT can be used as parang assistant to the teacher or any faculty in charge in our case in marking the assignments or answers, no, ng students to an essay type of questions, no. And in that way, in our case, we usually hire some markers who can assist the faculty in charge in marking the examinations of our students. So if we're going to use that, parang baka mawala ng trabaho yung mga markers, no? But I think, again, ChatGPT is still a tool, no? And I don't think kung tingnan natin na tool lang ito and this is still a product of human mind, still nandun pa rin ang need, no, to have human minds, no, in order to create products. Di ba? Parang hindi ko makita na mawawala ng trabaho ang mga tao because we have AIs, no? Baka in terms of work efficiency, baka yon siguro ma-improve because of the use of AI in the workplace, for instance, no? Kasi the AIs would not be able to function well if you don't have minds. Kaya dito papasok yung challenge sa education, no? What kind of education now or what kind of competencies now we're going to develop among our students, given that we have these tools, no, available or that are being utilized, no, in the workplace. Kaya I think ito yung isa sa mga factors that can somehow cause the morphing of our educational landscape. Okay? Kasi there is now a new set of competencies na kailangan in the workplace, and the education should be able to respond, no, to this kind of demand in the labor market. So yun, again, the presence of AI, I think would not cause any unemployment. And there are a lot of data that we have, no, here and abroad, na even in the presence of AIs, mas tumataas pa actually yung employment rate, no, ng mga bansa na who are using yung AIs na ito in their operations.
Thank
Prof.
you,
Marie,
Dr. Bagay.
I'd
Yes.
like to add something as well. Yeah, I agree with what Dr. Bagarinaw has just mentioned or said, that it won't really entire replace, humans to do certain jobs. Because as I mentioned earlier, one of the issues about ChatGPT, still the accuracy. We don't have the complete idea about its overall accuracy. And issues like hallucination, which is another word for making up facts, it's really an issue. And the AI researchers are still continuing to do their research in order to mitigate that part. So if you have issues with accuracy, then why remove the humans, right? So it's something that can supplement, complement our jobs, our various tasks. Yeah. In other words, AI, we can use that under the supervision of us, human beings. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Bagarinao and Dr. Reynald. Okay, we have so many questions, and some of these actually, I think it's truly better to be answered by a human being because, as Dr. Reynald said, that ChatGPT can also hallucinate in a way that it will give what it seems to be a right answer, but in essence is actually a wrong answer or an untrue answer.
Yeah.
Um,
Professor Murray, I'd like to
mhm.
emphasize that
Yes,
yeah, ChatGPT, it can really generate plausible sounding, grammatically correct. Talagang tunog-tunog totoo, mukhang totoo, mukha siyang totoo, pero hindi talaga siya totoo. Yeah. So we
yes.
just gotta be careful with that. Yeah. But yeah, that's all.
Okay, yes. So rest assured, our jobs will be here to stay. And as Dr. Bagari now said, it will actually create more jobs also in the future. So that is good to know. Let's talk about some of the measures being taken by UPOU. Dr. Bagarinao, would you be able to let us know if there are any specific measures taken by UPOU with regards to the usage of ChatGPT in light of plagiarism and possibly of academic dishonesty?
At this point in time, I think we still don't have a policy, no, related to the use of ChatGPT. But I think an open university and technology-mediated university, I think personally, we can actually allow our students to use this, and it would depend on how we associate plagiarism, no, in the use of ChatGPT. And for instance, sinasabi natin plagiarism, parang you're copying the work of others as if that is yours, no? Again, tulad nung mga nabanggit kanina, that would depend on the users, no? Bad users would really make bad decisions, no? Or actions using the tool. But as an institution, at this point in time, parang wala pa tayo. But as an institution, I think we're open to the use of ChatGPT. I don't know if we can parang associate that with plagiarism or ano yon, academic dishonesty. Baka that would challenge the faculties in charge, maybe, no? Kasi nandyan talaga yung tool, and we cannot, hindi naman natin ma-ban, no, or anong tawag nito, mapigilan yung ating mga estudyante to use that tool, no. So maybe we need to redesign our instruction, no, redesign the assessment process amidst the presence of this tool, so that instead of banning our students to again use this tool, baka mas maturuan pa natin sila on how to maximize the use of this tool for their learning process, no? Kasi I do believe yung mga estudyante naman natin, bihira lang talaga yung nag-commit ng mga academic dishonesty. I have been into several conferences, and every time na makamit ako ng student of UPOU, they assured us, no? I mean, yung usapan namin, talagang sinasabi nila na yung academic dishonesty is wala talaga sa kanila, no? And I do believe, I have the confidence, no, doon sa kahit ganito yung modality natin, we're fully online asynchronous online learning, but I do believe our students have that accountability over or responsibility over their learning process, no? Kaya yon, I just don't know if there is a way to check whether the output of our students would be generated by ChatGPT, for instance, no? Turnitin kasi
Mhm.
pwede siya magamit, no, to check similarities of information that is being presented doon sa sinubmit ng estudyante. But I just don't know if there is a way, no, to check whether this output, for instance, being generated by AI, in this case ChatGPT, and so on and so forth. Now, if it is generated by AI, for instance, can we consider that as plagiarism? I don't know at this point in time. Baka that could be a good discussion point, no, at the university level.
Thank you for addressing that question, Dr. Bagarinao. So that question actually came from Scott Ralph Pana, and there are some comments here related to that from Professor Roel Cantada. UPOU programs would need to add a chat GPT detector in their assessment tool, even of admission essays. Unfortunately, our My Portal Turnitin does not still have an integrated detector. Okay, so that's a possible
Professor,
project in the
Professor
future.
Marie, yeah, I'd
Yes,
like to continue what Professor Baggy has mentioned, and
sure,
in
go
connection
ahead.
to Professor Cantada's comment, yeah, so AI generating tools like ChatGPT and AI writing detector tools, it's just gonna be an endless game of cat and mouse. Yeah, so when does it end? So how are you gonna train the AI writing detector? It's just gonna be never ending. And you know what? I encountered students who don't know how to write, and ChatGPT is even better. Yeah, and if we're gonna use these detectors, AI writing detectors, yeah, the problem here would be the false positives. Student work suspected to be ChatGPTs, and then false negatives. ChatGPT's work suspected to be a student work. So let's say you detected a false positive, or yeah, the detector said, okay, the student work is written by ChatGPT. How are you gonna implement that? You're gonna ask the student, explain yourself. But what if it's really a false positive? You get my point, right? Yeah, so I would say that at the current rate, we will get to that point that ChatGPT can write something that is completely human like. Yeah, and instead of dealing with all of these things on that technological approaches. Personally, what I'm gonna do, in my case, I'm gonna institute an AI specific honor code or have an AI classroom manifesto. Yeah, because it has been proven that honor codes um, can reduce the instances of cheating, and so many researchers actually support that. And also to teach literacy on the utilization of AI tools, and also be able to teach the students the proper use of ChatGPT, most specifically when it comes to prompt engineering, so that they can ask ChatGPT in the correct manner, so that they can get correct answers. Or what I mean is, if the student can ask questions that are of good quality, then the answers would also be of good quality. So that is how I'm gonna approach these things. Yeah. Again, I'm telling you, ChatGPT can write better than some of my students in the past.
Thank you, Dr. Reynald. I do believe that. And I also like what you said about having an honor code. So I think while there's still no institutional policy on this, each lecturer or professor can have that honor code in their classes to let students know if they could use or could not use ChatGPT or any other AI tool for that matter. And as a comment from Jan Ray Katuday Mansera, Jan Ray says, I've been letting my students use ChatGPT to answer their assignments. Yet, sinasabihan ko din sila na always compare what ChatGPT gives to what the book provides. So that's an all right practice as well. Someone also says or commented also, if students would use Chat GPT regularly, at this point, I think we're weighing the pros and cons of using Chat GPT already. Wouldn't it hinder their skills and develop more reliance on this AI? I think Dr. Reynolds has a good answer on this one. Take it away, Dr. Reynolds.
Really? You think that I have a good answer about this one?
Yes, we were
I would,
discussing it like a
yeah,
while
I
ago.
would say that at the end of the day, it really depends on the professor or the FIC or the teacher. It depends on the objectives of the class. It depends on the overall design of the classroom. Yeah, in order for what for these things to, to happen. Yeah, at the end of the day, you know.
Okay. Yes, and I think you also have um a comparison with the calculator. Would you like to share the
Okay. Okay,
calculator
you like the
comparison?
calculator
Yes,
illustration,
I
right?
like the calculator
Okay, sure.
illustration.
So if we're gonna ban ChatGPT, then we should also ban calculators because students wouldn't learn math. Yeah. So we were having this discussion earlier about the the calculator that for elementary math you ban calculators because you want students to learn okay 1 plus 1 and then the multiplication table. You want them to learn that. But for the higher level engineering or statistical courses, well, in my case, back in college, I took Stat 101 statistical methods, and my teacher allowed us to use calculators because what she wanted us to learn is to think which should be the proper statistical method that I should use, and then I should just use a calculator so that I can get the value. So it's related to what I mentioned earlier. Again, what is the objective? What is the design of the classroom, right? So I hope that you were refreshed, Prof. Marie, with the calculator illustration.
Yes, I think that is something that would be quite uh, easy for a lot of us to understand the calculator. If we ban it, don't ban it, it's sort of like the same as banning Chat GPT and also like Google and all those other tools that have helped us in our learning and in our life as a whole. Okay. So, actually, the other questions that were asked were related to what was already discussed later on. Like, for example, if used in a source code, then are we violating any rules with the university? So at this point, it's really just dependent
Source code.
on
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd like to answer regarding the
All
source
right.
code as well.
Yes. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
because yeah, we were talking about this earlier. I talked to my teammates at the ICTDO, and then I introduced ChatGPT, and they were like, kids, it's like they were given candies, but I would say that the training data set for the codes used for ChatGPT comes from GitHub, and GitHub is a public repository wherein you are free to reuse whatever. So in that regard, if the training data comes from GitHub, which is a public repository, then it should just be fine, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Reynald. And turning in my hat as a chair of the diploma in computer science, um, actually, what I have also done, if I may share with some of my classes, is that instead of it being fully product based, like
Mm.
instead of just evaluating if they are turning in a running code or running website or whatever, I'm now taking a look at their process more. So whether they use Chat GPT to um to generate that code, I'm looking at the process and the thinking and the reflection of how they are doing the coding. So yes, I think we do have to reconfigure a lot with our teaching styles, our assessment tools, because we truly have to adapt to what this new AI tool is bringing in to the world. Um, so actually, we are running a bit out of time. For some of your other questions, you may ask ChatGPT about it. But for the answers that you feel cannot be answered by ChatGPT, which shows that we still need human beings, we will. This Open Talk on ChatGPT is actually a series, and you can tune in to our next episode. We will let you know about the details of this episode later on. But for now, we would like to thank Dr. Pugoy and Dr. Bagarinao for their very insightful answers to all the questions that we have discussed here. And we'd also like to thank our viewers and listeners for asking those timely questions. So yeah, very sorry that we could not answer them all because of our time restrictions. But aside from asking ChatGPT, if you would also like to contact our speakers and our team to discuss these questions or suggestions that we have not covered in this session, feel free to contact us. And just to review, today we talked about ChatGPT, what it is used for, what type of queries it can answer, and its use in our educational institutions. So, to conclude this conversation, I'd like to ask some final words from our speakers for today. So, may I invite Dr. Pugoy and Dr. Bagari now to give us some few final words.
Okay.
Yes, Dr. Reynold.
All right. So I prepared for my final words. All right. So this is my favorite illustration. When the first computers were created and there was automation, imagine that many were against it because they said those will take away jobs. But look, computers are everywhere and we learned to embrace it. Computers in various types, various forms, laptops, smartphones, so on and so forth. Also about the internet. Many were also hesitant about the internet when it was established way back in 1990s. And I can remember that news article which claimed that the internet is just a passing fad. It will soon be gone. But look at us right now. We cannot live without it, right? And then Google search. Many would argue students will just become lazy to do research, but it's still here, growing strong. My point is, in the same way, AI is here to stay. And as the years go by, it will just get more and more accurate as we continue to generate and produce data in the internet. And like what I mentioned a while ago, what we can do is to really learn to adopt and adapt and preach the responsible and safe use of AI, yeah, for everyone. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, thank you all for listening, for attending this open talk.
Yeah, from my end naman, I think we just remember that ChatGPT is just tool. No, it is a product of human mind. Whether it's intelligent, mas intelligent pa rin ang tao. No, and it can well address some of our concerns. No, but what matters most is how we're going to use the tool. And I do believe, again, that instead of banning our students to use the tool, baka pwedeng turuan natin sila on how to use properly the tool in order to, again, maximize their learning process and use it for their future. No? So I think yun siguro ang kailangan natin. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reynold and Dr. Bagarinao. Yeah, I do agree. Adopt, adapt, and preach. And of course, mas magaling pa rin ang human beings compared to AI. So thank you very much for your sharing of insights, and not just insights, even the technical aspects of ChatGPT. All right, I'll hand it over to our host for today.
Ayan. Isa pong napaka-engaging na discussion. We had a very insightful conversation with our speakers, and also thank you to our audience who sent in their questions. Maraming salamat po, Dr. Pugoy, Dr. Bagarina, and Ma'am Marie for being with us for this open talk. Maraming salamat din po to our viewers for staying tuned, and we hope that you learned something, or maybe probably a lot from this episode. We would also like to invite you, as mentioned earlier, to stay tuned for episode 2 and 3 of Open Talk on ChatGPT. Further details will be posted in our official Facebook pages. So before we end the program, I would like to invite our viewers to send your feedback about today's episode. You can access the evaluation form through the link and the QR code flashed on your screens. And so can give us your insights, suggestions, and your honest ratings on how we conducted this episode. Also, congratulations to the winners from last episode's viewers, whose names are flashed on the screen. They will be receiving UPOU souvenir items. Ayan, Edmarie L. Clasio and Rochelle B. Nangihan. Ayan. Congratulations po sa inyo. Once again, I am Jeliza Diaz, and this has been Open Talk. Thank you and have a good day.